Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Coach U Show. Today, we have Cody Jones, who sold his funeral home, Callaway Jones, at nearly double the industry multiple in the funeral space. And we're going to cover what it's like selling your business and what Cody's learned during the process. And if you are ever going to sell your business or you're thinking about selling your business, then this episode is going to be worth your time to understand so you can avoid problems before they occur. Welcome, Cody, to the show.
Thank you, Dennis, for having me.
And pleasure to be here in Austin. Let's rewind back to when you were 24 and your dad died and you jumped into the funeral home industry without knowing a lot about the funeral home industry. You could have just sold the business for the real estate, but instead, you decided to take this business on with the help of your grandfather and learn and make improvements. Tell us about what happened then.
When I was 24, I was living in Los Angeles. Our family business was in College Station, Texas. We had a major health event. My dad passed away from cancer. My granddad at the time was retired, not working in the business for the most part. And we had a decision to make at that point. I don't have any siblings, so there was no succession for our business if I did not take it over. And my granddad told me, hey, we have a great reputation. We have a name in town, but it's not a big business. At the time, we did not have a lot of revenue. We were probably the third out of four in town as far as funeral homes go. So we were, I would say, on the decline because my family was tending to my dad's illness for 2 years. And so the business was existing, but it was not thriving. And I made the decision to come back, be with my mother through a hard time, and just try out working at the funeral home, see if I liked it. There was no pressure. I didn't work there in high school. I had no experience. And at the end of the day, figured, you know what, it actually is rewarding, serving families, meeting with families, taking care of people in a hard time. And 24 years old, decided to take it over. And my granddad told me at the time, it puts food on the table. Mm-hmm. And so I jumped in and tried to learn as much as I could with other funeral home owners, mentors, trade associations, and just doing as much as I could to learn as quickly as I could.
And fast forward 20 years later, he sells to private equity. He's grown the business. He's gotten a fantastic multiple, and he doesn't have to work in the business. He's been able to scale himself from being a caretaker to a business owner to someone who sold a business and advising other businesses. What would you say is the biggest change for you in the last 20 years?
The biggest change for me really has been just maturing as an entrepreneur, learning from mistakes, growing a business, growing a family. But yes, I sold to a very large private company, and I prepared my business through those years, especially the last 5 years, really trying to nail down what was important to me as my wife and I have a young child. And do I want to spend more time with him and be available, or do I want to keep working in the funeral home? So there was a lot to consider when you start to look at what is my goal after ownership, and what are the terms that I want to live on.
Yeah. We know that most funeral homes, they operate at a 4 to 6% margin. And because it's an older industry, most funeral homes, they don't take care of this business planning. And so they just age out and they go out of business and they don't get they don't sell at all. But Cody was able to outperform the rest of the industry because of the way that he thinks, because he has only so many Christmases with his 4-year-old. What advice would you have for other business owners where they know they need to do something eventually because selling their business is usually what provides for their retirement, but they've never gone through the process. They don't know what their business is worth. They've never had to prepare their books. They don't know what due diligence is. They don't know what EBITDA is. They don't even know what the first step is, but they know at some point they've got to do something.
Yeah, advice would be to just take some time, be proactive in really writing down and nailing down what's important to you if you were no longer an owner. I'm unique in the fact that I've kind of seen both sides or both tails of the tape. I've seen what a major health event can do to business ownership, and I've also seen what diligence and preparation can provide for an owner after an exit. So take the time and know what your goals are, know what you want to do. Do you want to keep working for a few years? Do you want to keep working for a longer period of time just without the burden of ownership? Or do you want to have 100% of time freedom with your family?
So now that you're on the other side and you've sold the business and you have time freedom, you don't have to be involved. They don't call you for help, right? Which is
Right.
great. You've decided that instead of just playing golf 24/7, you also want to help other funeral homes be able to navigate this, to be able to unlock value in their business. Why? What is your what motivated you to want to do that versus just be in retirement?
Well, I know how hard the working in the funeral profession can be. I know the sweat equity and the hours that funeral home owners have put into their business. And I want to help them succeed and see all of that hard work and come to fruition. I want them to have a happy retirement or a happy post ownership experience. And I know that I can help them achieve that. They deserve it instead of just working until they're worn out and tired and burned out and their business fizzles.
How did you sustain that for 20 years? I can't imagine being on call 24/7. And then when that phone call happens, you're dealing with someone who's having maybe the worst moment in their life and you have to be there for them. And it just catches you off guard. And how do you you don't always have the chance to be able to sleep and you have to deal with the stress for 20 years. How do you do that?
It's a long time. And when my phone rings at 2 or 3 in the morning from a friend, or maybe even someone who I wouldn't consider a close friend, but an acquaintance, when your phone rings, you know what that call is for. And it wasn't uncommon. So, yes, you can receive phone calls during Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas Eve, Christmas mornings, and you have to go. When that call comes, you have to go. So it is a lot, and that's why there's a high rate of burnout. And but at the same time, there are owners who have done it for so long that it's just ingrained in their everyday life, and they don't know or realize that there actually is an opportunity for them to take a step back and have some more time and catch their breath and enjoy a few years of good health in retirement.
Yeah. So unlike being an accountant or an electrician where you kind of choose a career, you said that being in the funeral industry is a calling. Explain that.
It is. Serving families it's similar to pastoring or preaching or having a church. It is a calling. You're serving and walking alongside a family at their worst moments of their life, some of the saddest times. And so most people would only choose to do that for a profession if they felt called to do it. You a lot of funeral directors don't do it just for the money because the money is not there's not a lot as far as funeral directing or even just part-time work. So they do it as a calling. Absolutely, it's rewarding when that family gives you the hug and they send the thank you letter. At the end of the day, you know you've made a difference in their life, and so that's what we do it for.
So when you initially took over the family business, it was an old, small building, and then you created a new facility because of the learning that you did from studying other industries and hotels and whatnot. What were some of the changes that you made, and what was your thought process in going about and thinking about things differently than the way all of the other guys do it?
Yeah, it is interesting. We began our business in the 50s in an old house. It was what you might typically think of when you think of an old funeral home in an old house converted for a parlor. And yeah, we had old shag carpet. I mean,
Dreary.
it was dated. Low ceilings, dim lights,
Yeah.
definitely what you would think of. And when I had the opportunity to take over and make my own decisions, I thought to myself, our competitors have newer facilities. They're larger, they're remodeled, and we have our name. That's what we had. And so we just decided to build a new facility. I took out a big risk and an SBA loan and built a modern funeral center. I always said, I built it with today's modern family in mind. I toured hotels, I toured resorts, and tried to really recognize what did I feel when I walk into those spaces and how did I react and how are their guests reacting and how do we want our funeral home, not just our families that we're serving, but the guests, the 100 or 200 guests that are attending, how do we want all of those guests to feel when they walk in? What experience can we offer them that's different from our competitors? There's not one lamp in there. It's high ceilings. It's floor to ceiling windows. We have pump in scents into all the rooms of the funeral center so that it's just an experience. We didn't want our guests to feel like they're walking into a funeral home. Funerals are sad and we mourn and we cry for our loved ones, but that's not how we wanted people to feel when they walk in.
What's a question you wish people would ask you? Because you get asked a lot of questions now.
I get asked a lot of questions. Questions that I wish someone would ask that many people don't. I just wish someone would ask are you happy? Because I get more questions like, how much did you sell for? What was the multiple? Like, what do you do all day with your time now? Must be nice, that kind of thing. Like, are you happy? That's what I wish people would ask. Did you make the right choice? No one asked that.
Well, let me ask that. Are you happy?
Absolutely. I'm very happy. I get to spend as much time with my son as I choose to and my wife as I choose to. So we have lots of time freedom. And but at the same time, I still stay in contact with people in my profession. And I still work as a consultant to Cody Jones and the staff there when they may or may not have questions or problems that they want to ask my opinion on. But yes, I certainly am happy, and that was the goal that I set out for when I began to when I began the process of preparing my business for an exit. That was one of my goals, was having time freedom and being happy. Yeah.
What was something unexpected about the process of getting your business ready for sale?
So that's a good question. I didn't know what to expect. Hadn't been through it before, and tried to be as prepared as I could. Inevitably, there's going to be something that you're probably not prepared for because there's just such a long list. But yeah, it's just the needs list of what an experienced buyer is going to ask you for. I thought I had everything that could possibly be asked for, but of course there's always something that they're going to want or need that you're going to have to produce that you just don't have in your back pocket. And so that's probably one of the things that was unexpected, is just the volume of the needs list when selling to an experienced large buyer.
So what kind of documentation or paperwork or other things can people expect to produce?
Well, you definitely, your financials need to be in order. You're not going to be able to get really a good estimate or a range of evaluation if your financials are not in order, and that's just in any business can't operate most efficiently and most successfully if you can't see where you're behind or what's working and or where you're ahead and what you need to work on or fix. But there's a long list of items that a buyer's going to want, and it starts with having your financials in order, profit and loss statements, balance statements, KPI, key performance indicators. Where do you sit on the spectrum of your your spending categories in ratio to your revenue? Are you the market leader? Can you prove that you're the market leader? Can you prove how you're going to remain a market leader? There's a lot, yeah, but that's just sniffing the surface.
Yeah. And then being able to operate without you there. And what are steps that you need to take? Because when you were in the thick of it, 24/7, phones coming to you, you feel guilty because, it's your name on the business.
Yep.
And you have other directors that you're bringing up. How did you move out of being a day-to-day operator into an owner?
I've moved out of being a day-to-day operator incrementally. It began with smaller periods of time out of the funeral home, and to really being gone for longer periods of time and letting your team and your staff prove to themselves that it can function without you if the processes are in order, if the documentation is in order, if decisions can be made and they are empowered to make them without you. If you can be gone for a week, that's great. Okay, that's a starter. But if you can be gone for 2 or 3 weeks and not need your phone on, then you're getting somewhere. Then in the last couple of years, I took it a step further and I stopped working funerals. And that's really tough for funeral homeowners because we feel like if a friend is using your funeral home, they're using you because they expect you to wait on them, be in that arrangement conference, meet with that family. They expect you to be there at the funeral with them. The owner feels like that's what that family's expecting. When in reality, most times the families would be okay if you greet them, give them the hug, introduce them to one of your directors, and just let them know that they're going to be well taken care of. You love them, and you're going to make sure your team's going to do the best for them, whether you're in that arrangement conference room or not, or whether you're at that funeral or not. At the end of the day, they trust you and trust your team. And if that family knew in advance that you're not going to work that service or be there possibly, they're not going to choose they're not going to choose a competitor. They're still going to choose you. So that's a hard part, but it's an indicator that the business is going to survive without you when you can do that. When you have the confidence in your team to be able to step back and let them take care of your friends.
How do you find great team members?
That's tricky. That's tricky in any industry,
Exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah, it is. I've made plenty of hiring mistakes. I don't know if there's a secret sauce to it, but really being able to hire someone with the right intentions, as long as they have the right intentions in the funeral profession. Yeah, we want smart team members, but we want team players. We like people and team members that are humble and that are just there for the families to serve. But that's a great question, and it's a problem in the profession, and that is it is understaffed. So the good directors have the leverage.
Yeah. But even today, how many young adults want to go into the funeral industry? How many, I see a lot of, because it's a multi-generational sort of business, but a lot of the sons and daughters don't want to take over their parents' business.
That's right. That's right. It's always back in the day, and even myself. I mean, I'm a fifth generation in our family to operate our business, but more and more often, the succession is going to a buyer outside of the family. Sons and daughters and siblings don't want to work in it anymore, for the most part, or as often as they did.
Yeah, people are still dying, so there's still a need, and AI is not about to replace, robots are not about to take this thing over yet.
Not anytime soon. But yes, people are. The death rate, we're seeing the baby boomers aging up, and And funeral home owners, a lot of funeral home owners are aging as well. They're getting up there, and it's time for them to start thinking about, well, what's my succession plan going to look like?
We have a mutual friend, Wilton Home.
Oh, yeah.
And he's well known in the funeral home industry as a marketer. And I was over at his house having dinner, and one of his friends who owns a funeral home passed away. And then I wasn't able to see Wilton for a couple of weeks because he was busy helping, being involved in the funeral of a funeral home owner.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love to ask funeral home owners is what are you going to do for your funeral?
That's a great question. Now, we want everyone to pre-plan. So it's like we pre-plan, we want our families to pre-plan. And yeah, I have a plan. My plan is to one day be buried next to my mom and dad. My dad's buried in College Station in a cemetery. My mother will be next to him. And then my wife and I will be next to them at some point. We will have casketed services with an open casket visitation, God willing. And that's our plan. I have the merchandise selected and ready to
kind
go.
of weird though?
Unless there's some big development or change that's with funerals. But for the most part, yeah, we're going to be in a casket, open for our friends to see us. And
Isn't that weird though, to think about
traditional
planning
funeral.
your funeral?
It is, but it's going to happen one day. Don't you want to know that you've taken those decisions off your surviving family members?
Yeah.
Like that burden is off of them, whether you prepay or not. At least you can take that burden off of them too. You can take the financial burden off of them too. But at least you can know that your wishes will be attended to, and they're not having to make decisions in a time when they don't want to make decisions.
I find it ironic that funeral home owners are having, they're trained to talk to families about pre-need, about let's take care of it now rather than at the time of need, at need, which is when everything's happening. It's super stressful to have to take care of all the details. Yet these funeral home owners, they themselves don't realize they need to do this kind of planning on their business. So in the same way that they coach these families, hey, you take care of this now, there's no urgency for these funeral directors to plan on their business. So then when a health event happens or they just get old and tired, they're not ready to deal. They've waited too long because there wasn't an urgency. Yet this thing is so important to take care of.
Absolutely. Isn't it funny how similar it lines up with, we preach planning your own funeral, but yet a lot of owners don't plan their own succession of their business.
Yeah.
Because one day you could wake up and realize that the valuation of your business might not be where you expected it to be.
Or something happens that's, every day's not guaranteed to us.
That's right. Yeah. What happens if you don't wake up? Right? What's the value of your business? Is there a family member who's interested in taking that over or not? And if not, then there's a situation. And it's not just planning for your family and their future, but the staff too. It puts all of your team and your staff in a difficult situation if there is an unexpected event where the owner can no longer operate.
So we've been spending today interviewing Cody, getting everything out of his brain to be able to create this advisor calculator so that other funeral home owners can figure out what's their funeral home worth. And then what are the steps along the way to be able to increase that value, which is typically 2 or 3 times what the current value would be if they just got their books in order and went through this 6-month plus process that it takes to get your everything in order and all the things you need. Whether you're going to sell to a private company or pass it down to a family member or somebody else, you still want to go through that process. So to talk to other folks about what we're working on and why we're doing, why do you want to do this?
Yeah, a few small changes can represent a large delta or exponential part of your valuation, right? And it's not always just about the total dollar amount that you sell for. It's not always about if you can sell for the most. Maybe you want to have the right buyer. Maybe there's some kind of fit that you're looking for your team or staff. And so there's strategic there's strategic choices to be made based on the goals for what you want. What you want. Do you want to keep working there? Do you want to retire and step away? So what we want to work on is helping owners think about what are those choices and how can we get there to where we can have a successful exit. What are some of these choices and moves that can be implemented today to give us a chance of success upon an exit, or just being ready in case you don't show up tomorrow?
What's your one piece of advice, Cody, for funeral directors that are watching this and they're now interested in the process of getting their business ready?
Yeah, that's easy. The advice, if you are just thinking about it, is to take that first step. Take some time, think about what your goals are. What would it look like if you woke up tomorrow, had to sell your business? Would you receive what you believe it to be worth? The advice is to just let's start that conversation and really look at where you want to be when you're no longer an owner. We need to start that plan.
Which is more than just the number.
That's right. Yeah, and that's only one part of it. The number is one part of it, but there's a lot more parts than that.
And then all those parts where, how do we get your business to the point where you don't have to be there, but you get to be there? And like Cody said, you could step away for a week, maybe eventually be able to step away for a month as a litmus test on whether you actually have a business or whether you have a job.
That's right. Yep. Being ready is important. And even if you're interested in continuing to work or manage at the funeral home or in the profession post-exit, it's best if we can still prepare our businesses to operate if you aren't there.
What are some things that people might not know about Cody Jones?
Some things people might not know about me is, let's see, well, I guess most people probably know I like to play golf. So I'm a big golfer. We have a 4-year-old, and he's playing soccer and golf, and we're trying to get in all of that. And yeah, it's been a good time to just decompress a little. I've had my phone and text messages on loud all night long for 20 years. And so it's just nice to be able to have some time with my phone off or on silent and just be present with my family without the back of my mind knowing that, you know what, I need to be a light sleeper because the phone might ring. So yeah, just knowing that I am happy to answer your question.
Yeah.
That's probably what people don't know the most, is that I don't regret my decision, and I'm very happy and thankful and blessed. And it's been an interesting year now post-exit, and but we're just still finding our way.
So what does finding our way mean? What new goals do you have?
Yeah, that's a good question. Finding our way is, I mean, the life that I've known for 20 years is completely different. Now, yeah, we don't regret it. We are happy, but just the next step. And that's what I think being called to help other funeral home owners prepare their business for their post-ownership, whatever that may look like.
How do they contact you?
Well, you can contact me by our email, cody@funeralhomeexit.com, or yeah, contact page on our website, funeralhomeexit.com, and we'll have a conversation.
Amen. So reach out. You want to talk to a guy who's actually done it, who's beat the odds, who has lived and breathed the whole process himself? Check out what Cody Jones has done. A couple more final questions. What's the role of AI, and how's that affecting funeral homes?
That's a question for all industries, isn't it? It is. There are some great companies in the funeral space really helping funeral homes become more efficient. We have dedicated obituary writers and generators There's funeral home case management software that's integrating with AI and websites and chatbots. And there's phone answering services that are integrating AI. Some price shopping software that's integrating with AI. It's some of it's profound but interesting all at the same time. There's a lot of advancement happening quickly.
Will AI or robots ever be able to replace the personal touch of the funeral director?
I don't know that you're ever going to be able to replace the personal touch. Maybe AI gets to a point one day where it can elicit emotion. I don't know, but right now, I don't think that it's going to replace the hug that a family feels when the directors can give to them. That personal touch, that feeling of we're here for you. I don't think a robot can do that. Not yet.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah.
So Cody, words of advice for business owners. You get the final word.
Words of advice for business owners: just learn every day, become better one day at a time, be on top of your business, be on top of your financials, take care of your team and your staff, take care of your customers, and your business will thrive.
Amen. Well, thank you, Cody Jones of funeralhomeexit.com. I'm Dennis Yu. Thank you for tuning into the Coach Yu Show. We would appreciate if you like, share, or comment. If you have any questions for us, leave it in the comments below. Real humans like us, not robots, are going to respond because we want to see you be able to grow your local service business. And we'll catch you in the next episode.